Hi everyone, it's Barry here from Mitosu. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you for joining me for this month's Stamp Around UK video hop. The hop for this, or the hop theme for this month, is geometry or geometric design. So I'm going to be creating a card for you today with that theme in mind. Do remember that this is a video hop, so links to everyone else's videos can be found down below in the description. So do make sure that you go and have a little look at those after this video is finished. So I'm going to be using a few products. I'm not going to be doing much stamping today. It's going to be more die cutting today, but I am going to be using the Sending Smiles stamp set here, just because I wanted this lovely birthday wishes sentiment on from this one right here, because it's nice, something nice and straight, something plain and something simple. So that's the stamp set which I'm going to be using. I'm going to be doing a little bit of embossing with the Timber 3D embossing folder. I'm going to be using the Paper Florist dies, and I'm also going to be using the Stylish Shapes dies. So that's the products I'm going to be using. Paper wise, I'm going to be using the, let's show you what paper I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using some very vanilla thick here for my card base. I'm going to be making a square card. I'm also going to be using some bubble bath, a bit of black, some petal pink, some grey granite, basic white, and the distressed gold designer series paper right here as well. We'll also be using a little bit of Pool Party, Old Olive, and soft sea foam. So you can see I've got quite a few scraps going on here, because I'm going to be making some shapes and some patterns with this whole thing. So let's move on with the card base. What you're going to need to do is take a piece of A4 very vanilla thick, and we're going to turn this into a square card. So I basically just cut this down on the A4 at 5.5 inches, and then I've by 11 inches, and then I've scored in half at 5.5. That's going to give me a nice 5 by 5.5 by 5.5 card base. Just go ahead and fold and burnish that one there. Okay, and then I'm going to take that rose gold which I had just a second ago, and this is going to be my matte and layer, and that's going to go onto the basic white piece. So the measurement for the rose gold, sorry, not the rose gold, the distressed gold, is 5 by 5. So you need that as 5 inches by 5 inches, and then your basic white is going to be at 4 3/4 by 4 3/4, and that's going to go on like this. But I'm not going to cover all of this up. I'm going to gut this first because there's too much of that rose gold cut paper to get covered up. So if you're like me, you're just going to gut this. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this in, let's say it's 3/4, yeah, half an inch will be fine. And I'm just going to go all the way around. So I've just gone and gutted that distressed gold, so then that can get stuck onto this. Well, not just yet, but we'll do later on. With this one here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to die cut out using the Stylish Shape dies. I'm going to take the largest square and the next square down. Okay, and I'm going to die cut some of those out of this. So using the bit which I've just gutted, bring in your machine. Now if you're careful with this, you can do this together. So you can just see that I've got that there, and then we're going to pop the other one in, and then we're going to cut ourselves a frame. Might be worthwhile you just taping this down a little bit. We're not worried about this being too straight because we're not going to be using the outer part, but obviously try and get it as straight as you can, because you can then maybe use it for another frame for another card. But get those lined up nicely like that, and then just stick those together so they don't move in the cutting process. That then has just given me this lovely frame right here. So that's a bit which we're going to be using. Everything else in here can go back in your collection and can be used and saved for another time. Okay, so they're my 3 elements so far. I'm going to take my grey granite and my petal pink, pop that one to one side and that one to one side to start off with. And what I'm going to do is I am going to stick this on in shapes and positions like so. So I'm going to start with the petal pink to start off with, and then it's going to be trimmed down afterwards. So stick it where you want it to be, and obviously this bit which is overhanging we're going to trim off. We know that this is at 4 3/4, so we can take it to 4 3/4 again here, and then quite comfortably then just take that end part off, and then that's just going to then give you a nice edge right there. Okay, so that's with the petal pink part. With the grey granite, what I want to do for this one is I want to emboss this one. So I'm just going to grab my 3D embossing folder, my Timber 3D embossing folder, and I'm just going to run this through. And that there is now our piece, which has been embossed with this lovely wood effect. So this is obviously a random shape again, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick this on where I want it, and then we will then cut off the excess once again. So you can see what I've done there. I've got two shapes. I started off with a square, and I've popped some triangles in here as well, just to fit that theme of geometric patterns. So remember, obviously we had this at 4 3/4, so we can then comfortably just go ahead and take that bit off at the bottom there, and then I can then do the same on this side over here, and then trim that down. So you can see now I've kind of got my square and two triangles in with my square as well. So I did actually Google before I come on here and did this video what actually geometric means. So geometric art is the use of one or several geometric shapes meant to create a visual sensory experience. The art is abstract, futuristic, and often colourful, portraying the created shapes in ways you have never imagined possible. Wow. We are now going to then stick this to this distressed gold layer right there. So we can just pop a little bit of glue around the outside, and then just go ahead and then just stick your layer on like that. So that there is that one. That then is good enough to then get put down onto your card base. So you can then go ahead and then you can then just stick that whole thing down now to your card base. So that there is our card so far. We will take this frame, and what we'll do is we'll use some mini dimensionals, and we will just pop some of these mini dimensionals on the back of this frame here. Some of them are a little bit too tight. What you may have to do is we may have to just take those off and then just cut them in half. There we have it. So I've got my frame there, and I've got lots of dimensionals. Obviously I've had to cut some of them in half, as I mentioned earlier, because the frame was a little bit too small and it was showing through. So I just cut some of the edges of the dimensionals up so I could get a nice frame around that, and it doesn't show on that. Then what you want to do now is then just take your backends off and then stick that to the center of your card like this. And that's that stage done for this one. So what we want to do now is I'm going to take my elements which I've got here. So I've got my bubble bath, which I'm going to do some die cutting. I've got my other elements as well, so my pool party, old olive, soft sea foam, and some more very vanilla. And I'm going to cut out some of the flowers using the paper florist dies. So these lovely dies right here are things which we are going to be able to create some flowers with. So I've kind of got my geometric design going on here with my squares and my triangles, and now I'm just going to decorate it with these lovely flowers here to give me just to give it a nice focal point. But that's my geometric pattern done for this card. Okay, so I'm just going to cut these out. So I'm going to have some of these flowers here, I'm going to have some of these petals, I'm going to have some of the inside. So I'm just going to go ahead and die cut all of those out. Okay, so these are all of my elements which I've cut out. So you can see now what I need to do is I just need to create these flowers. So I've got myself a Stampin' Pierce mat right here. Let me just move these to one side a little bit. I'm going to get rid of the smaller ones first. These ones right here. I don't need this pierce mat for this one, but I will just use it. And take my pick tool with this one, and we will just pop some glue behind the back side of the pink. So you can see, and that there is my first kind of flower done. So you just want to go through and do the whole thing with these petals and flowers. So with the larger ones, what I'm going to do is, for example, this one right here, I will take this one, and I'm not going to use like a ball tool. I'm just going to use my take your pick tool here, and then we can then just use the end part to shape these. That's all I'm going to do for the shaping of this. So I've got two large ones and one small one here. And we go with a bit of glue in the large one, and then we'll just pop that in and offset like so to create this flower. I'll then do the same with the next one, and we will then pop that one in there, offsetting that one again. So you've got this lovely flower like that. And then for the center part, bit of glue in the middle again there, and then we will then use the bubble bath bit, and that's going to then go on the middle. And that's how you create those flowers. For these ones right here, we're just going to use two, bit of glue on the middle, and then we will offset this one. Same principle for those little ones. And then with this flower here, we're just going to pop a little bit of glue in the middle there, and I'll use one of these bits of the bubble bath, the tiny bits, which is then going to then go in and decorate the middle of that flower. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other two flowers. That's all of my flowers created there. So again, I'm just going to shape these. I'm just going to take my take your pick tool, and I'm just going to push in the middle like that, and this is just going to give these a little bit of shape. Just need something which you can push in. You can grab your stylus tool from your scoring things, just something which will go in and just give it a little bit of dimension. So you can see there, it's just shaped it ever so slightly. Before I actually decorate that, I'm just going to put this to one side. I'm just going to do a little bit of embossing. So I'm going to do the stamping here with the birthday wishes set. Sorry, the sending smiles stamp set, and I'm going to use the birthday wishes sentiment. So I'm just going to do this with some Versamark. I'm just going to stamp this down onto that, and then I'm just going to heat set this using some white embossing powder. Once you've gone ahead and heat set that, what I've done then is I've just cut this down to size. So I've just got my little trimmer, and we've got one of these little guillotine trimmers which I've got here, which was handy for this one to really kind of like get right onto the edges. And then I've just cut this down to size. And what I'm going to do here for the final one is I'm just going to cut the birthday and the wishes in half. So this is why I wanted a straight set, something which was easy. I didn't want to be doing any fussy cutting, but I just wanted something that I can quite easily slice down the middle like so. Alright, so that's that. So I've got all of my flowers, and I have got my birthday wishes sentiment like that. So now it's time to construct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab myself some dimensionals again. I'm going to be using the mini, and we'll start off with the larger one, and then we're just going to then build this up and create this little floral display on top of my geometric design. So just sit back, relax as I just create this pattern for you. To just finish this card up now, we will just finish this off with the sentiment which we've cut. So remember, it's one that we will use those dimensionals, but again, it might be a little bit too thin for the dimensionals, so just cut some strips just to go on there and just stick those on. Okay, and then we will then just stick our birthday in there like that, and our wishes in there like that. And there we have our finished project with my geometric pattern with use of triangles and squares, decorated here with the lovely Paper Florist dies. Really pleased with that. So I hope you agree that I've hit the brief with geometric patterns and geometric theme. So let me know what you think down below in the comments. Do remember that this is a video hop as well, so links to everyone else can be found down below in the description, as well as links to our online shop, our website, and anything else which we find that you may find useful or informative can also be found down below in the description. So with that in mind, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much for joining us for this month's Stampin' Around UK video hop, and we will look forward to crafting with you again next month. Thanks very much, and we'll see you again soon. Take care for now. Bye bye.